I'm so incredibly impressed with the way Sargent and everybody else take the field. And so I think that kind of like when the top team treats it that way, I think it, forgive the expression, trickles down to the rest of the region. And I think that's kind of how everybody in this Indian sub-region kind of takes it. But we're going to be taking it to parallel plays here. Heist and knockout will follow, and we'll do backyard bowl and layer cake if necessary one more time. And so as we jump on into parallel plays, similar situation to what we saw in the last, or same map layout that we saw in the last grand finals. Here come the P's and B's. Nothing outlandishly sticking out.
Yeah, I was going to say, I agree there too. Dara, the only one that people may be less familiar with, but I think people need to get used to it, especially in this APAC region. It shows up all the time. But Bonnie, somebody I expect to have a very high play rate this entire weekend across the board, across all regions. HP, a very underrated thing right now. Bonnie, very versatile in what she can do. Very long range, very aggressive in that Leon form once she jumps out of Clyde. A lot of good stuff going down here. And it's a little unusual, right? We have a month off. We've had some balance changes go down. And even still, Penny's still showing up, very understandably so.
I mean, it just makes sense. You're going to be able to go ahead and park that mortar someplace, just deal. Bonnie, like you said, multifaceted. Always love that choice. Not a lot of area denial last time we saw in the APAC region, at least. The West and EMEA really like to focus on, big area control units. Here, very different, as the Stu is kind of locked in and option over to the blue team, 4Button, trying to figure out their last two picks.
Should be interesting to see what they do here. Stu, a much more aggressive choice for sure, and I think he brings a little utility alongside him as well. Most teams are going to elect to go for the speed zone, bring a little coverage there, and especially on this map too, once you die, the recovery time is so much longer than your traditional map. You got to take either the long route by your spawn side or just charge straight at the enemy, and it's very easy to get spawn trapped on this. So adding a speed zone gives your team a little extra versatility in that aspect, and Meg, still a very powerful brawler. It's going to be somebody that I expect to see a good bit this week. And maybe not as much as she previously was before our break, but still somebody very worthwhile and definitely has a lot of firepower on her.
Yeah, I think Meg was just, much love to everyone involved. I think she was a little too strong, and shout out to the devs noticing, bringing it back a little bit. Still very strong, and honestly, I like when she's strong, but more in line, I think, with where she should be this time around. And so we've got two guys that are going to jump on you, and then Meg doing Meg. So 4Button looking for a lot of just like, they're just going to glomp the opponent to death. Hopefully they can run and jump into the hug. And Carl here going to try to avoid that.
Yeah, Carl going to be a way to try and address this Meg, I think. Once you hit the tailspin, Carl hits his super, has protected pirouette, which adds a shield to him. It's one way that teams have found to deal with somebody like Meg. You have to get up close. I think this will be a star power adjustment on the side of Harsid as well. They're going to be going for what I imagine is the one where upon contact, when that mech explodes, it's going to bounce back your opponent, which is something you really like to see against those more aggressive brawlers like Carl. So both sides, I imagine, are going to be playing a little bit of chess with these choices. I think it's going to be really interesting to see how they lay things out as well, how they decide to lane. Because sometimes we'll see a traditional 1-2-3, and sometimes we'll see a full send to the right, a little bit on defense here and there. And there's that speed zone that we were talking about. Looks like everybody going to be kicking things off with a left, mid, and right approach, but I'm sure everything's going to start to get real hairy here in a moment.
Revenant not sitting on their point, not prioritizing it. No complaints about that, by the way. Looking to be more aggressive. Sargent is going to be playing this mid, and there's the aggression out of response. The kill onto Hadashi, going to be strong. And a nice win here by Revenant, taking the front point. But Farheem on the backside, knocked out of the mech. Might not be able to finish this. Thought it was certain death. But Aaron helps out for the backside. And so Revenant's point being pushed on as well. And 4Button actually dealing with both. Fahim falling down. And now Revenant wrestling control back a little bit.
We're Response with a nice little pop-off there, too. A good effort there, but 4Button need to respond quickly here. Both sides doing a little bit of double dipping there, and especially on this map, it's all about how far you can get on enemy territory, and right now 4Button have to make up for a lot of lost work. Response now popping off, though. The tailspin going down. Aaron getting the necessary stop as that red percentage climbs up. Revenant inching closer to finishing this game.
4Button have finished their safe one. Now have to be a little bit more aggressive here while still playing defense, but yeah, looking at the scoreboard. Oops, it's off.
Necessarily had to fight over it too much. Maybe a little ring around the rosies here and there, but Response really somebody that kind of got over there scot-free. So I think they're gonna have to be more punishing, be aware of this. Crow alone, somebody that's not gonna be able to handle a Carl, I imagine. They're gonna have to bring backup. So we'll see how 4Button adjusts here in game number 2.
Right away, Aaron very healthy as he brings Sergeant down relatively low. That said, Sergeant now tooling around Fahim. Fahim chased out. Speed zone popped down. More of a deployable than an actual totem. Now Sergeant playing with the 1v2. Playing is the operative word. He's not playing now as he's put in the back seat. Revenant still winning 36%, but 4Button not trailing by much as it's 30 and counting.
Great job by Revenant there, just rotating in brawlers as now Sergeant joins his teammate Response. Fahim trying to play defense all by himself right now, and especially without that mech, it's going to be very difficult. Burning through a gadget, still going down. Penny with the flank, and Aaron just looking for a desperation kill and can't quite grab it. Response surviving with 330, and it's a runaway right now for Revenant Esports.
I really want to point out what Trishant is doing here as he gets jumped on and taken down. So that's going to open up the world for Harshit to go ahead and find some points up top. A much closer match than game 1. But maybe that's the caster's curse as Harshit falls down. Nice trade out for Response as Trishant still doing a great job here. Fahim, though, in the mech. Taking him down. And Revenant does a couple of percent here to count Kenny. Does 4Button get the team wipe?
Yeah, this is going to take a pretty heroic effort here. Is Trishant just going to move it on along, and 1 percentage point left to go.
And so whatever your answer is, you just force your opponent to answer the question you ask. And whoever wrestles control of the game kind of can dictate the pace and how to play it. And that's clearly what Revenant did there in set number 1. But with Hot Zone in the pocket, we move on to Heist. And some familiar bands out here, but not Brock, who was definitely one of the star brawlers last time around when we watched SEA play this. So first pick for 4Button is the Rocket Man.
Yes, sir. Man with the rocket launcher. Could be rocking rocket laces again, depending on how aggressive a brawler selection Revenant goes with here. That gadget choice going to be a little dependent on what the other team's rolling with. So we'll see what Aaron elects to choose here a little later down the line. Like you said, some familiar bands with what we saw earlier today. No Colette again, no Eve again, no Grom again, no Carl again. It seems that this region also really does not like to play some of these brawlers in this map. For me, Eve is definitely one of those. With the rise of single shot brawlers, especially on this map, Eve with the spawners can do so well, can travel across that little strip of water there too, so I think that's a good one as well. This is one I did not see coming though. Sam, somebody I definitely didn't see when doing the scouting reports, but they're going to combine it with Max, and this kind of reminds me of a little bit of a throwback composition that we used to have in the blind format days, where we would go somebody like a BB, a tankier brawler, combined with Max. They used to do that with a Poco as well to catch some people off guard, to feed those heals. I think that would be pretty hard to pull off in the draft setting here, but it does give me that kind of aggressive vibe. We're not going for sharpshooter. We're just going to run you down in W key.
Well, yeah, man. Did not expect to see the Sam. But like you said, Max certainly the enabler here. And I would like to see it. And the Shelly selected, so I like that choice at a 4Button as a response to the Sam. If you're going to run at us, we're fine with that, dude. We'll see if it works out for them. Last pick as we count down from 10. And 4Button trying to pick their 3rd brawler. And it's 8-bit. Nice. Nice. So this is fun for me. Because 4Button is basically like, okay, you want to play the Max and the Sam? Just run into us. 8-bit's going to waddle around doing a zillion DPS, and we'll see if you can deal. And then the Edgar last pick to kind of like just execute players. All right, Kenny. Max, Sam, Edgar. Did you have this in your book?
Yeah, no, I checked the notes. We got no sightings of Sam or Edgar, and scrims, nothing. I mean, this is completely out of my realm of possibilities. I do love the Shelly pick. I actually think we're in a meta where it's very difficult to kind of go tank early. They, want to play the W key game. Well, you're going to be met with a shotgun. That's an appropriate response, I think, from 4Button. So we'll see what Revenant elect to do here. They may just, like I said, move forward, walk it up, and just cycle damage. A little trade here and there as well. And I think it's just going to come down to who can do the most damage first.
Well, poor Sergeant, because he did 0 damage. They just kept him at arm's length and kind of just shot him down. His response goes ahead and deals and heals. Sergeant gets in, but Sergeant gets pushed out. Revenant get 1%. A minute and 47 to go.
Very aggressive stuff coming out of them early. Despite all the kills, I mean, all of that hard work for a 1% lead. And now on their back heels on defense here, too. Harsik moving up. 8-bit pummeling the heist safe. Fahim throwing down rockets as well. That's a lot more than 1% as each side going back and forth. But again, Shelly immediately with the double shotgun blast. 82-41. Runaway lead right now for 4Button.
Yeah, that double pump gonna do it to him. Aaron here trying to deal with the melee characters. Responds, won't get away with it. Sergeant does, but just barely. 18% dealt by Revenant, and a whole lot more dealt by 4Button, as they are taking just... You know what? This was Revenant being a little aggressive. Picking the melee characters, hard to execute, whatever euphemism you want to use. And this is 4Button just proving that they deserve to be in the finals.
I love it. I mean, if they're going to get bold, they're going to respond with something just like this. Another double shotgun blast from Shelly, and every time they connect, I feel it a little bit, man. They're just trying their best to run forward. They get shut down every time. 10% left. Shelly putting up numbers right now.
Yeah.
Response just trying to generate anything. Sergeant diving forward, but now all they have to do is walk it up. There's no way they have enough time to deal all this damage, and 4Button
and trolling. I don't think they're being, a lot of people usually see this type of play and they're like, oh, you're being cocky and you're picking stupid stuff. I think Revenant wanted to see if the max double melee composition would work. They're in a grand finals against a team in 6th in their region. If they were to lose, which they don't think they will, they're still safe point-wise. They took the first set, and they did so handedly. Now we're seeing the composition work. The first game looked a little silly. This time, not so much. They've already done 35% and counting. I like Revenant being a little spicy with the double melee pick, I gotta say.
I love the spice, and now they're spacing the floor a little bit too, so it's forcing 4Button to kind of pick their battles. They finally take care of a couple here. Trishant doing a little work on the left-hand side, but even he's still alive. It's going to pave the way for the red roster to move along their more tanky brawlers. Response picking up a kill there. It ends up being a trade, but it's wasting time. 4Button has to get their way across the battlefield. They're already down to 28%, and they have a whole lot of work to do up top. Finally getting a stop here, but it's Response being relentless, and even though he's taking down, like I said, they have to do so much DPS. Thankfully for them, though, they absolutely have a composition where that's possible.
Well, here's the 3 up again for Revenant. Sergeant healing up and making his way to the front. Max barely alive, Sam not. Sergeant, well, he's not either. Still, a minute to go, so a ton of Brawl left to be played. But 4Button just now tapping the box. And Revenant down to a quarter of HP, so to speak. Aaron getting taken down by Max. Sergeant trades. And here's a little bit of the pea shooter from Max onto the heist box. 17% left for 4Button.
40 seconds to go, and Revenant probably just looking to cycle out some brawlers here. Again, spacing the floor. They can't tag them both. Response left, Sergeant right. Now Sam throwing down the super. Less than 10% to go as Response and Sergeant close in here for the remaining.
Did Revenant do differently to make this melee comp work?
You know, I hate to say it, but I think the start here really matters a lot. We're going to see Sniper Shelly come out as well. I think once they get 1 to 2 kills, it's really just a runaway for whichever team can do it. It's a lot harder for either of these competitions to play defense, and Fahim, Aaron now letting out some damage as well. Trishant trying to play some defense. Response, Sergeant coming back, but it might end up just being a back and forth. They claim the opening damage, and now Shelly's rotating in the shotguns. Response trying to do his best. They just have to find a way to cross that line. I think 4Button striking first puts them at a huge advantage.
Response sitting midfield, watching his teammate get eaten. Sergeant makes a poor choice. And now it's Aaron just going to town on the safe. 41%. Nope, make that 36 left for Revenant. Sergeant gets a kill, though. Traded out. Trishant gets a kill. And nobody's pushing out of mid. Double respawn for, well, everybody's respawning. Response just getting eaten in the midfield by 8-Bit. Can't cross this 50-yard line, as you said, and that might be curtains as Sergeant jumps in, takes care of one, but gets traded out again. And just 7% left for Revenant. We'll see if they're lucky.
I want to see if we can pull a stat for world record of amount of supers popped in a game. I mean, Shelly has just been going crazy with the supers. I'm sure the stat line is going to be something to watch here.
That's a good match.
Very difficult. Going to be very difficult to come back from all of that. But now an opportunity as Revenant get a team wipe here. Sub 70% in climbing now. Supers going down. Shelly trying to defend. Sergeant jumping in. They have to get desperate, take advantage of what they can. And nonetheless, it's not enough to tie that 7%. 30 seconds left to go, and now 4Button looking to respond.
Sergeant Response alive without their max. Response does get a kill. Aaron's trying to find the shots, takes care of one, 3% left, and that's it.
To do, but worked out for them so well.
I mean, it's, you know what it is? It's fundamentals. And sometimes, especially in the draft, we can overthink ourselves to death. And like, you pick tank, I pick Shelly. That's like how that goes. You know what I mean? So, nice job. Again, I think Revenant tried something different, and there's a reason that strat doesn't always work, and it was a check for 4Button. 4Button needs to win that set. Otherwise, frankly, they don't belong in the grand finals. And so I'm glad to see them win that set. I'm glad to see them win that set the way they did. But now we're on a different one. Split down the middle, 1-1. And we are headed over here. First pick Meg responded with a Brock.
Two very traditional ones here, and it looks like they have felt enough pain from the Shelly. They're just going to outright ban it here. No games being played. They don't want to go through that process again. We're once again going to see Pam show up here as well. Pam's a brawler that a lot of the times show up in another region, EMEA, not as much in our home region of NA. We see flares of it here and there, but it's definitely something that I've seen on the rise a little bit. I think she's just a very solid brawler on this map, and for knockout, very beefy. Again, health points, something so underrated in Brawl Stars.
Is it the HP pool for Pam that really? Because well, I think of Pam primarily as a healer, and like I've seen her do work, but I consistently ask myself why she does work in the knockout world.
I think Pam applies a lot of pressure, right? So it's a fanning shot. All of her scraps can connect to the enemies, and even if you just tag once, that's health points that you can't regenerate back. Constantly applying pressure. The healing station as well, especially with these indestructible walls towards the end game, you can place that down. It's just more area that you control in that tiny little square, so Pam can go a long way here, and not to mention she's already got a lot of health herself, so it can go a long ways toward keeping your teammates alive, especially towards that end game. Somebody like Carl or somebody really aggressive, her gadget shuts you down 3 times a match as well. So I think understandably why we've seen a little more Pam, and Daryl, somebody that's going to come out here too as that aggressive answer to somebody like Barley, a counter into honestly all 3 of these brawlers. I'm very excited to see how they can do into the mech, into Carl, who gets shut down by a shotgun, and Barley, who's a very squishy man. If Daryl gets one good roll, it is over for that man.
Yeah, big fan of the Daryl selection here. I think Daryl is more my style when it comes to knockout. I like Bonnie, I like Crow. These are characters that usually the downside to their play style is the fact that it puts you in a precarious situation after you use the super or whatever it is they do. But with knockout, nobody respawns, so like, who cares? That's kind of what I like. And I think you nailed it with the Pam, just to put an end cap on that. It's suppressive fire. You can corral players into a more dangerous situation. And I think that's probably what's attractive the most about Pam here. But Fahim on the Pam lady, right side versus the Carl. And Hashit in the mid, taking a lot of damage. Sergeant gonna get aggressive here against 2. And here comes the zoom, but not the boom. Sergeant has to get out. Nice maneuvering and defensive fire coming out from 4Button.
Revenant could have been really punished for that as well, and it looks like Response is going to feel it there. Aaron being traded out as well. Low HP for 4Button right now. It's going to come down to the in-game here, but complete map control for Revenant. They've got a very big mech robot. Now they've got a Tailspin coming their way as well. The Squishy Brock going to go down. 4Button, one brawler left, just going to take to the storm. On to the next one for them. Round 1 going to Revenant.
You know, Revenant kind of like... That flying hook in there from Sergeant did not connect, and he got on out of there really nicely. 4Button kind of got 1 kill off of the Daryl roll, but didn't complete the mission, I don't think. This Meg just burying everyone else. Aaron comes in, doesn't find much. Still Trishant alive. There's the second roll. Popped out, but not popped down. 3-on-2. Revenant again on the good side of things. Fahim falls, and Harshit also going to eat it. And Revenant
establish those supers. They can work with control at the end game. Daryl, like we mentioned, is going to be a great way to respond to any of these guys up close. Barley, somebody who has to rely on these walls. So as we get closer and closer to this in game, that's where Pam and honestly Daryl can really shine too. Daryl can be looking for isolation plays, but for now, tearing down this right-hand side, they want to work in the open to maybe avoid Barley getting advantage of them, or just allow for Brock to fire down some extra shots as well. Little rotation here, the rocket rain going down, but it's 4Button against their back wall. This is going to be a tough one to climb out of.
Trishant here opting not for the right side because of that response, left alone. And for the first time in knockout, 4Button with the advantage. But if Trishant can heal up on this Meg, well, that's a big if. Teammate goes down first, and that was a good choice by 4Button. Prioritize the player when him and Meg were split, and go for the non-Meg player. Really intelligent target acquisition from 4Button.
Loved that, and Aaron making a great selection. It's all about those isolation plays with Daryl, and he's going to see an opportunity here. Go for the roll right-hand side. Activates that gadget, which slows down the enemy, so he can almost entrap those that he rolls at. Not going to get a kill this time, but it will at least use Sergeant some of his utility. Going to be forced away, but a little reset here as Aaron looks for another one. Does have that roll available. Healing station going down. The swipe coming in from Meg. No harm, no foul. Everybody resetting and just trying to get those very valued supers for this in-game.
Everybody healthy on 4Button. Aaron half HP, but starting to heal. And Harshit thinking about the super. I think the goal is for everyone to jump on the target that Aaron rolls into. That might be what 4Button's thinking. But instead, there come the rockets. Aaron goes after the fact, and Sergeant wiggles away. He's done it every time Aaron rolls in. Gotta rethink that strat. Meg, on the other hand, not gonna be the same. Rolls in, taken down. And Harshit, the last one to fall as well. Revenant take that one. And it's round 3.
Big moment here for both of these teams, going up 2-1, and a best of 5 sets can go a long way for momentum. Give yourself an advantage. You get one more oops, and you still survive. But anything can happen here in a round number 3. Sergeant forcing a super. He's going to have to go away. Rolling from Aaron. Very aggressively. Response low HP. They take care of him quickly. But there is a trade. 2v2 situation. No more mech. No utility for Sergeant right here. It's left to good old gunslinging for him as they're going to move to this left-hand side and do their best into Aaron, who has a shotgun and a super.
I don't think Aaron wants to use the super here. Actually, it's round 3. Of course he does. Go for it, baby. Sergeant right side. Here come the shotguns, the knock up and the knockdown. 2-on-1. Trishant, no mech. And everybody feeling this one. 4Button take the round and the game. So we are on.
Shooter, right? It's a pistol for a reason. She can't have everything. When she's out of that mech form, she's just not quite the same brawler. And I think that was a great job kind of picking their targets. And like you said, target acquisition, a great word for that. Just because Daryl, if he picks one, can pick him off, gives you a 3v2 advantage immediately. That's exactly the kind of thing you're looking for in Knockout. Play it safe, get those numbers. Right now, Revenant really turning it up right now. It's going to be, once again, the blue side being backed away. A response in a very aggressive positioning, honestly, in the open, especially for an area control brawler. That's a very aggressive choice. We'll see if it pays off for him.
Well, so far, everybody half HP. Little bumped and bruised. Trishant actually, good damage coming out from 4Button. The first time they've chased him out of the mech before the damage really starts coming. Fahim wins the left side as well. And Revenant on the back foot. A big change of momentum here for 4Button. As Sergeant comes in, I didn't like that play, but Aaron's going to take the opportunity, push the opponent, but pushes them too far, and walks into the gas himself. Our sheet doesn't matter, and cleans up 4Button with round one.
Yeah, I didn't love the choice either. I think he was going for a flying hook right, and then one pickaxe swing would have dealt with Brock, but just didn't have enough time. I think great identification from Pam there to help out the teammate, keep him up, and it just paved the way for them to take that first opening round. This time around, it's not going to be nearly as aggressive stuff coming in from Revenant. It's Trishant on this left-hand side trying to move forward, but Carl Barley forced away, and I think Barley's even going to try and switch sides here. Little reset. Readjustments, Rocket Rain going down, and once again we see Carl using the get out of jail free card, but in hot pursuit it's Aaron. It's going to be a 3v2 situation, and now a major advantage for 4Button.
Oh, Trishant gets a little spicy, and then the world turns his back on him. 3 versus 1 response. Well, he doesn't have much. Yeah, what was that is right, Barley. And Aaron goes ahead, takes everyone on 4Button, did their work to win in Knockout. Now they got to do the same thing in Brawl Ball.
Yup, gonna have to do it all over again here, but like I said, they can make one mistake and go on to a set 5 and at least still have hope alive. Revenant can't make any mistakes. No longer can they afford to do so here. And I really don't think Revenant have been playing poorly. I just think 4Button have elevated this grand finals to make it quite interesting. We're on Backyard Bowl, wide open map, historically known for these sharpshooters in long range, but you know what I don't see a single ban of? Long range options. Hey. It's the world we live in Brawl Stars. We're seeing Tara banned, a shot that fans out being banned here, a thrower in Sprout being banned here. It's not what you expect it to be, but Bonnie, certainly somebody I do love to see on this map. Again, very aggressive. When in the cannon, has that long range and a lot of health points. Health points, something I'm going to point out a ton this weekend just because I think it's something so valuable in this current meta. We even see a shotgun brawler being banned on this map. If you haven't been around in the BSC in a couple months, you took the break alongside us, this is the world we live in now. B, excellent response here too. A little more normal stuff now kicking in, but clearly all of these people have very different mindsets as, once again, we're going to see what Pam can do, this time on Brawl Ball.
Option over to 4Button. They've got some long range out of the Bonnie. Of course, she's both, but we'll default to long range. And 2 more selections here. You're a little scared to go full tank because of the B. Does the B completely prevent you? Can you go a tank? Like, obviously the B will handle a tank, but can you still do it and just try to play around the B is the question.
I think it would be tough, but honestly, given that Shelly is banned and Tara is banned, currently a couple great options to kind of deal with those tankier brawlers. You might consider it, but if I'm 4Button, that's probably not the route I'm looking to go, especially when I see a B and a Pam, Scrap Sucker gadget, plus the super, the heavy sting. I just think it's too much to handle. I would not personally be looking to go tankier. They go with a strong utility brawler, one that can also deal well in the single shot brawlers, depending on what gadget they go. Colonel Ruffs has the sandbags, he has the utility to buff up teammates, and instead they're going to go as somebody as well. I like this pairing with Crow, somebody who historically does great on this map. Solid brawler right now. We've seen some flashy plays that he can make as an assassin, jumping in at the enemy, jumping in for the ball, going for goals. But as a healer, he's now going to be able to siphon away some of the HP that the enemy team could gain from something like a healing station. So I think Crow makes a lot of sense in this spot, and again, is a pretty strong option just in this map in general.
Also can combine with the Bonnie to just delete a player. That might be a good look for sure. And then Carl. Very rarely do I have something poor to say about Carl. Just in general, a nice pick. And we'll take the field here with this lineup. Bonnie, Ruffs, and the Crow versus Pam, B, and Carl. Kenny, who won the draft?
I don't think there's a clear winner in this one, but I will point out I do like the Carl response here at the end. I think it puts on a little more pressure on somebody like Colonel Ruffs. If he wants to run the sandbags, well, he's got a pickaxe that can pierce through it. Somebody like Bonnie as well. It's a little more to handle if he gets the tailspin off. There's some weird interactions that can go down and benefit both sides. But at the end of the day, I think both have all right drafts. I really don't see any huge blunders, no big weaknesses. This isn't like our last one where Daryl was just the perfect play, right? He doesn't counter all three of these brawlers. Nobody is going to have a perfect advantage or disadvantage. I think it's just going to come down to how they play this one.
Well, Fahim does go the sandbags, and because of that right away, we see a lane swap. Crow was actually against the response, and the ball was against the wall. Sergeant goes ahead, pushes up, and finds the goal. And so, despite the lane swap for Fahim, Revenant still wins on the right-hand side and finds a goal therein. Here comes Trishant one more time. Sergeant going to go ahead, pass it forward to the team. And Trishant, very slowly, finds the angle.
They've got the Carl again. A lot of health points on the field. It's going to take a lot of resources, a lot of hit shots to take them down. And Revenant Esports take a clear advantage of that. It's going to come down to who can have a hot start. Sugar Rush coming in now for Bonnie. So they're looking to push up here, dribble down the left-hand side, kick over Trishant. Going to pick this up for now, put it back towards the midfield. But in the meantime, B is going to fall. A dive forward coming in, though. A very aggressive play. Didn't work out this time. A continued fight over this mid to see if anyone can get something going.
I liked the idea, I liked the play, but honestly, it was just a missed shot. Carl didn't hit the Bonnie, and because of that, plays dead in the water. And so, bunch of time on the clock here. Ball midfield, Sergeant sent back to base. And it'll be enough for 4Button to jump forward literally, 1 and 2. Anshita, though, by himself, and Trishant, well, by himself, takes care of 1 and 2. So we're back to the midfield one more time.
Now it's going to be 4Button trying to play goalkeeper here. That's a takedown for response. Now dribbling the ball. Left-hand side, Sergeant looking for pink shots. Trishant on the right picks up one. The protective pirouette continuing to pop off. And response taking his sweet, precious time for that goal. 1-0 here for Revenant Esports.
Tough stuff there for 4Button. A nice play on the left side, but just short of being enough to find that goal. Because of that, Revenant now getting aggressive right side as well. Trishant eats some of the damage, but his teammates are dealing. Adashit falls down. 2 players on offense. Left side passes it to right. Sergeant misses the ball twice. And because of that, no goal opportunity. Oh, man, you got to pick that up, dude.
Yeah, that's a tough one to see for sure. And now 4Button are going to have an opportunity here with 30 seconds to go. Sergeant, though, makes up for it. Left-hand side picks up the kill. Aaron continuing to apply pressure on the right. They have a super in hand. They would love to see another double jump in if they could. So Aaron's going to need to charge up this super. It's going to come down to the final moments here to see if 4Button can end things right here, right now, and drag it on to a third.
Well, here comes the jump in, and one's bad, the second's bad as well. A little bit of rough stuff there for the Assassins, and Revenant are able to take this one, but that was their game plan, and it was figured out. Because of that, Revenant sends them back home. But shake the Etch-a-Sketch. It's all about this one bounty set. Nothing else matters. Forget your momentum, forget who won set 4 or set 3 or how quickly set 2, forget it all. This is the only set that matters. Winner takes all for the month of June. June, right? It's June. For the month of June. We're there, dude. We got there.
Absolutely nailed it. And I agree. Best of one at this point. Anything can happen. Doesn't matter your seeding. Doesn't matter how you got here. All comes down to one final moment. And they're entrusting that moment in Penny as their first overall selection. Neither side playing games with the Shelly, Tick, Sprout, traditional bans here. I know for a fact that a lot of pro players get super annoyed with brawlers like Tick. When he is good on a map, it is frustrating to deal with. The area denial, the constant mines on the map. Now he has a better gadget than he used to, so his super does even more HP than it had before. It's nuts. So getting rid of that, I'm sure, is a very safe choice and something that they're gonna very much enjoy not seeing here. Squeak, RT, immediate selections here from the left-hand side. I like the RT pick.
I mean, you want to talk about annoyance. Squeak and RT certainly gonna be there. Area denial abound from the Squeakster. RT just, it's a long-range sharpshooter. Well, he kind of does everything, but his long-range sharpshooter style is certainly a little devastating, extra damage, etc. So that's kind of the classic layer cake selection here. That's the option over for Revenant to see who will team up with Penny. And Gus going to be the first one, so long range there. 30 seconds on the clock.
When I see Gus, immediately I'm wondering what they're pairing with it. Right now, Gus, a very strong option in the meta, mainly for his super. He does have that long-range capability, but to be honest, he can make a strong brawler even stronger with the amount of health that he gives. They're going to choose an aggressive one. They're going to go with Leon. It's somebody that we've started to see a little more in the meta here and there across the world, but I think pairing this brawler with Gus makes a lot of sense. It's going to give Leon extra HP. And again, I know I keep saying it, but when talking to pro players on this offseason, it's something that really matters here. And that's why Gus is going to shine, I think, in the finals this entire weekend across our different regions. When pairing it with Leon, he can go invisible. He's got the lollipop drop. And also, he does a lot of damage up close. He's an assassin that now we just gave extra health points to. Very scary stuff.
Ooh.
And now we get to see the man in the tank. His debut appearance here in the BSC.
With the way layer cake works, Hank might be busted. With the way layer cake works, Hank's whole thing might be really, really tough to deal with. I think the Leon pick was really attractive, and now with the Hank, I'm just trying to be everywhere he's not, pretty much. That's the whole goal here for Sargent if he takes the Leon to the field for sure. Overall, I don't know. I want to see how Hank plays. As you said, this is the debut here. Fahim going to be piloting the Shrimp Man. So look at this denial that Fahim can bring. How do you engage on this left side? It's just very, very tough.
Yeah, I mean, look at all that coverage it has. He just blows up the little balloon, and there's nowhere to walk for about a quarter mile. You have to just move the other side. He's got so much HP to work with, especially with these indestructible walls and the brawlers that they've selected. What can you do? You can't tear him down, and they're just going to send Sargent straight at him. Again, low HP, now being hit with a super here, too. Going to be slowed down. The Gus bubble going down. Just shot protecting for his teammate as well. A very clutch kill to keep his teammate alive, and rather than going down, they actually end up grabbing a 1-star lead there.
Fahim swapping now, sending Squeak over to the left lane. Fahim gonna try and make business work on the right side. Getting aggressive and gonna be able to hit that turret through the wall, which is certainly some really big Hank tech that we're gonna see for sure. And 4Button pushing up one layer of the cake. Revenant leading 2-1 so far. Not much death.
I'm nervous.
Sargent. Trouble. Down he goes. Aaron gets the kill.
Yeah, I'm nervous for the Revenant guys in that spot, but honestly, they find a pretty good way out of it. And until they lost a couple kills, they were backed up against their wall, and now they're the ones that have to get aggressive here in the final moments, but they can just kind of hold on to this big bubble, right? Sergeant doing his best, but Fahim responding so well. Response just forced to move in. Can't quite get it done there. A team wipe going down, and a real opportunity here at an upset, I've thought.
That might make a mark on the highlight reel. It doesn't make a mark on the top score bug graphic. 4Button now 1 away from taking it from Revenant. And Kenny, how many monthly finals have Revenant won?
All of them. Quick math. Yeah, all of them.
4Button, the 6th seed in India, threatening the undefeated Revenant Esports. And doing so with Hank. This one's fun.
Yeah, pretty wild stuff, and with a little new twist to their roster as well. Something I think a lot of people, including myself, were excited for, but 4Button have an opportunity, and this is a great composition, I might add. If they need to just hold back, hunker down, they've got Hank with a lot of HP who can pop his shots through the wall. They've got Aaron, who RT, long-range brawler, but can deploy his legs and just be a Jackie for a little bit if he needs to. So much that can go right here for 4Button, and it's going to be left to Revenant to try and, hold on to this lead for now. Stay ahead, but the blue star, one thing that at least 4Button can claim, and now Aaron with a kill here too. 4-3, what possibly could be moments away from a new monthly final champion.
And I'm glad that 4Button is still playing the way they are. I think it could be real easy, Kenny, to kind of like play it too safe here and then get cornered. Revenant kind of step over you. I like that 4Button are still going for a couple of these kills, trying to prevent Revenant from being able to just blitzkrieg them towards the end. Revenant with a lead change, half a minute to go, 6-4.
Now they've got Aaron left-hand side here too. Fahim leading the charge on the right. Sergeant going in, diving in, and going down immediately. I don't know what he was thinking. I just don't think Leon can win that interaction. And with 12 seconds to go, it's going to be Gus with a bubble. A pop of the gadget here. RT gets the kill. Hank sitting pretty on the right-hand side. And Response not going to be winning his opening monthly final with the new roster. 4Button, new monthly finals champions.
Absolutely fantastic play. Hadashit very, very excited. You can see him just, oh my goodness. and probably rightfully covering his mouth so we can't see what he's saying to his teammates. I'm sure extremely wholesome for sure. But listen, man, you're allowed to say